we looking at? All right. Hey, what's going on? Just checking one more thing here and we're live on everything. All right, let's get started. Hunter to be Hunter, thank you for joining. Unicron, thank you for joining. My Jack of all trades, thank you for joining. All right, who else we got on? We have anybody else on right now? I am not 100% sure. Let's see. I'm going to explain why I'm going back and forth in 1 minute. All right, so welcome, Nathaniel Animations. Thank you for joining. Welcome to another week, another live stream of the Midweek Check-in. I am your host, I guess if that's what you want to call me, Davin Jackson, also known as D-Jax. I am the owner, blogger, pen tester, hacker for Alpha Cybersecurity. I am not live on Facebook, Kron. I am not live on Facebook. I'm about to explain why. So, thank you all for joining. I'm going to be going back and forth here and here. Reason being is usually I do 2 live streams a week on different platforms, just because I don't have the funds right now to be paying for other streams. So Joy, how you doing? Thank you for joining. So usually I do my Twitter streams on Wednesday and then my Instagram and Facebook streams on Thursday. And yesterday I was just really sick and I don't want to leave anybody out. So I'm going to come up with the brilliant idea of doing my stream on Twitter and Instagram at the same damn time. So today I promised I was going to do a Q&A session. A lot of you guys have sent me a lot of questions, and I'm also going to be answering questions live. So feel free to do so if you have any. Again, just kind of be patient with me. I'm still trying to recover from, just feeling really under the weather, feeling really crappy. But if you guys already know, if you've been following me or been on any of my streams, the month of May, I wanted to call it the month of action, and I did not want to break my streak during my month of action because I felt sick. So I'm gonna soldier on through, and we're just gonna get it cracking. So with that being said, how was everybody's week? Feel free to leave anything in the comments. Let me know how your week has been going. Let me know what projects you're working on. In the meantime, I want to give some shout outs to people who have been following the month of action hashtag and actually updating their month of action and their projects and stuff. I want to kind of give you guys a shout out. So actually, the very first one I see here is Joy, who jumped back into the JavaScript world this week. So shout out to her. Keep going. Let's see where we at. This is going to be interesting. Hunter to be Hunter, working on exploit development. How's that going for you? How's that? How you making any progress? Off day working on JavaScript. Yep, Joy, I just shouted you out. Like I said, jumping back into coding and doing your JavaScript. Let's see, John, JB, anybody who has been on any of my previous streams, JB is excellent at networking and recently just did a video where he had his kids involved in doing some over the wire hacks. So if you guys haven't seen that, check that out on YouTube. let's see, just CJ on Twitter said he's been working on his security operations, risk management, architecture and engineering, and security assessment and testing. Kristen is working on work and studying for several certifications. Let's see. Cash Mad work building a lab or rebuilding their lab. My jack of all trades, exploit development. Yep, it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, they work on reverse engineering or creating viruses, but for, I guess you could say, legal purposes. So they reverse engineer. They figure out how the shell code works. They figure out how to embed the viruses, how to get it passed, and that's what we're doing. Let's see. Schmo joined. Thank you for joining. Let's see. That's a bunch for me. Bunch of me. All right. Where are we at? Okay. And let's see. I'm just double checking the chats. All right. So, like I said, so what I really want to do today is I want to focus on you guys. I want to draw the attention to what you guys are working on and see if there's anything I can do to help, or if there's any questions anyone should have for me. But before I do that, Kron brought up a great point that I am not currently streaming on Facebook. And that's because Facebook has been giving me some issues. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to my YouTube stream on Facebook so you guys can see me doing this as I'm doing it. Give me 1 second. Did it upload? Working on stacking buffer overflows. Did any of the resources or that I sent you last week work, or has that helped any? I believe you were the one who asked me about different books or anything that I had recommended. All right, I'm going to just share to all right. I'm watching you on YouTube and Twitter at the same time. Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on YouTube or Twitter, or if you're on YouTube right now and you see Nathaniel Animations, please go check out his page. As soon as he updates his photos and adds some more pictures, he does great art. And I'm not just saying that just because he's my son. I'm saying that just because he's awesome. So definitely go check him out. All right. So like I said, I want to open up the panel to you guys. If there's any questions about cybersecurity, whether it's career related, stuff you can do at home, stuff you want to work on for certifications, I'm here to help. So if there's anything you guys have for me, be sure to ask me in the comments. If not, I do have some questions that I'm going to go ahead and answer that I got over the last week. This is definitely a lot harder than I expected it to be. But like I said, I owe it to you guys. I appreciate the support you guys have been giving me all month with the messages and the kind words. And I didn't really want to let anybody down. So, if you don't mind, I'm not going to use your names because I didn't ask ahead of time. So I just to be on the safe side, I'm going to present your questions and I'll answer them. And then if you know who I'm talking to, that's great. If not, be sure to tune in later on when it's uploaded to YouTube, or check back on Twitter. So the first question I have is, people say you should start your career doing help desk before getting into cybersecurity. Is help desk a good place to start? Um, I would definitely say yes. I definitely feel like having a solid IT background before transitioning into cybersecurity will definitely help you become a better cybersecurity professional. So, just to give a quick background on me, I started from computer repairs and moved on to help desk and did some networking for a little bit before I started doing cybersecurity. And then even when I got into cybersecurity, it was more preventative blue team type stuff, so incident response and more of the reactive, not the proactive stuff. It was basically like responding to ransomware attacks or any issues that we may have run into in the course of where I was working, which is at that time a school system. So I definitely think knowing the ins and outs of IT definitely made me a better cybersecurity professional. Um, I even went as far as learning cyber forensics, which I felt made me a better pen tester or a better hacker, because as a forensics professional, it taught me what to look for, if there is a data breach or if there is a hack. So it taught me how to look at the different logs or look where stuff may be, and then it made me a better hacker because it taught me how to try to avoid being picked up by forensics. So having that IT background definitely definitely helps. So I would definitely recommend, if you can start in IT or help desk, I would definitely get started, learn everything you can about basic networking, learn everything you can about basic security, and then make that jump. But don't stay too long. Like, I mean, I think the one mistake I made, I stayed in IT like a lot longer than I had to. Like, I worked all the way up to sysadmin before I decided I wanted to transition into cybersecurity. I would say start with the basics of networking, the basics of IT, the basics of security, and then start, getting your feet wet in the security field. All right. So, next question. Okay, So this gentleman says he's currently a carpenter. He wants to transition into tech, but doesn't know where to start. Um, I would basically start with the same thing. I would start by doing a lot of reading and research. I would start with knowing exactly what you want to do, because there are a lot of cybersecurity jobs that are technical. There are some that are really non-technical and more managerial. So I would just kind of do the research for it first. That's where I would start. I would start with the research. Like I said, if you're a carpenter, you seem like you're probably like a hands-on type guy, but it just depends on how well are you able to transition that hands-on from doing carpentry to hands-on doing tech work. So it's just all about what you can do, and like I said, knowing what you want to do. After that, like I said, then you could try to pick the route. Like I said, if you're not very technical, I would probably start with some IT stuff, or start with networking and then move up. So Network Plus, CCNA for basic network certifications, moving on to CCNA Security, or Security Plus. And then, like I said, if you want to do like the managerial route, you could probably do like the CYSA, or you can move to this, not the CISSP. I think it's the CCSP, if I'm not mistaken. And then get a little bit more experience under your belt, and then move to the CISSP. If you want to do the hands-on, then you move to do pen testing if you want to go offensive, or you can look at things about forensics or incident response if you're doing blue team. Almond Brown, hi there. Hello. How are you? Thank you for joining. Let's see. How is your lab set up? Cloud or in-house servers? Both. I have I have some cloud stuff that I'm starting to mess around with AWS. And then I have most of my stuff in-house. I actually have like my own separate network where I have a bunch of vulnerable machines. And I randomly either have someone in the household or whoever change the password to that Wi-Fi router. So I try to do the whole thing from trying to hack into the Wi-Fi network to get on the network and then move into looking at scanning the network and seeing what vulnerable machines are on there. Let's see. What do you think about cert stacking? Does it still dwindle chances of getting a job? Hold on one second. Hey, thank you for joining SGI Robert, Mr. Virus, Lord Fernani _ Twitch, and Cybersecurity. Dara, thanks for joining. Okay, so back to your question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but cert stacking. Are you referring to people who just collect take test after test and stack up on certifications without actually having the knowledge, or are you referring to someone who's actually learning the stuff and stacking the certifications? Because I have a very different point of view depending on what you're talking about. So if you're referring to just basically testing and because you test well and not really understanding the concepts, I think that's crap. And I think that'll definitely show in the interview. If you are getting multiple certs in a limited amount of time. If you're capable of doing it and you're capable of retaining the information and know the stuff you're actually reading and can apply it, I don't have a problem with it. Hell, I did it when I was doing IT work. But it was different. Actually, let me rephrase that. So, Jonas, thank you for joining. So when I was doing IT work and I wanted to get like my MCSA or my MCITP, obviously you had to get, I believe it was like 3 or 4 certifications and stack them to basically make the Voltron of Microsoft certifications. And I read the books for months in advance. And then when I was prepared to test, I took the courses and stuff like that. I think I got my MCITP in like 3 months. And then when I did, or my MCSA in 3 months, and then I did my MCITP and MCSA in Windows 7, and I think I did that in 2 months. But like I said, if you can retain the information and know what you're reading, then I don't see a problem with it. If you are someone, like I said, that can go online and use brain dumps or, cheat somehow by, talking to someone else who took the exam and they kind of give you their notes and you really don't know, it'll show. That's the one thing about this field. The one thing about about the tech field, whether it's cybersecurity or just tech in general, is that you have to back up what you say with actions, right? So I can't sit here and tell you that, oh, I'm this elite web application hacker. But if someone asks me how to describe a SQL injection attack or the concepts of how to use Burp Suite, and I'm using that example because that really happened. Like I had somebody come in who I interviewed, and he was like, "Oh yeah, web app hacking, that's my forte. This is what I do," and he couldn't tell me how to use Burp Intruder. He couldn't tell me how to look for subdirectories from like a command terminal or what tools to use. So you will get, Dara's absolutely right. You will get exposed. It's only a matter of time. Absolutely. You can't like that's the type of stuff you can't hide. So my thing is if you can learn it and understand it and apply it, go for it. But if you need to actually understand the concepts, sit back and understand the concepts, because if you go into a job that requires technical, not hands-on knowledge, and you don't know it, you'll get laughed out of the room. So let's see. I had someone ask me about coming from software engineering background, wanting to transition into cybersecurity pen testing. What's good? Some good resources to share with them. Again, it depends on their knowledge, right? So they come from software engineering, so the transition for them might not be too difficult. But I would still say, for if you're going to learn pen testing, I would say learn pen testing from the beginning. It might, like, there's some certain advantages to learn from like developers or software engineers trying to move into this field, because they can write their own scripts, they can write their own tools and stuff like that, but they still need to understand the concepts of the 5 phases of pen testing, right? So they still need to know how to do recon, what tools to use. So I would say some of the resources, not to plug my own articles, but I would definitely say check out my article on the 10 books I recommend for pen testing. Take some of the courses I recommended for Udemy. Black Hat Python is definitely a good one that I think they would appreciate, coming from, that developer mindset, that will teach them how to kind of do the recon and stuff like that. So I would definitely take that approach as far as how I would make that transition. All right, so next question. Okay, so this gentleman said he was a medical installation engineer. He's looking into getting into cybersecurity or pen testing, but he only wants to do it as a secondary income. Is the CEH enough? No. Nope. No. The CEH is not enough to do pen testing as a side hustle. I'm not trying to bash the CEH. I have my CEH, but the CEH is definitely an entry level certification for pen testing. So, funny story, when in all my research and in everything I did, when I got the CEH, I thought I had like hit the jackpot, right? Like, I had thought I was the man. Like, I was like, man, I got my CEH. I'm gonna go get a pen testing job. And I worked on a couple little Vuln Hub machines. So, I was like, and like the basic ones, like literally, I think it was like not basic pen test, because at that time that one wasn't out yet. But it was like a basic machine. I can't remember which one it was, but it was literally like Nmap scan and Wireshark to then running like a Nessus scan, to then finding the exploit and Metasploit, and then getting access, and then running like a race condition for privilege escalation to get root. Like, it was really, really simple. And I remember just being like, oh man, I got it. And then I took I took a practical certification called the certified penetration tester. Give me 1 second. I don't know if Nathaniel, go check upstairs. It sounds like Kai is out. And actually, he needs to be fed. So feed Kai, okay? All right. So sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, so I got my CPT, and I'm like, man, now I got hands-on experience. So when I got my first pen test job, and the first time I went out on my own, it was a remote job, so I didn't really have someone to kind of mentor me or kind of point me in the right direction. And I remember being so lost, right? And then that's when it was like, oh, nah, I gotta keep going. If I had a mentor, they probably would have been able to tell me that. But at the time, I was just excited about it. But anyway, back to the question. The CEH is not enough. I would say, if you want to do this as a side income, that's great, but you might want to grab a little bit more education and a little bit more knowledge. A great way to gain some side income doing pen testing is doing bug bounties, but bug bounties is more web app pen testing. And web app pen testing, it follows the same concept in the phases, but there are a lot of different tools that you have to use for web app pen testing. Some are similar to or the same that you would use in networking, but they're definitely it's definitely a different beast when you're doing web app pen testing as opposed to network pen testing. So I would definitely say CEH is a good start, but probably go for your OSCP, or probably just make sure you practice and know what you're doing. Cyber Guider, thank you for joining. Fit Now, thank you for joining. Juan Words, thank you for joining. Awesome, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for your question. Let's see. Do we have any that are currently live? Nope. Okay, so where did I leave off? I'm gonna read the question anyway, but I think I've kind of established this. Do certifications matter? I want to become a pen tester. I have 7 years of IT experience, and I see everyone talking about the CEH or the Pen Test Plus. Jonas, give me 1 second. So certifications do matter. It's great that you have the 7 years of IT experience. However, you still want to make sure you get the cybersecurity experience. You want to get the pen testing experience. So CEH is, even though I just spent the last question talking about how the CEH is not enough, a lot of jobs still require you to have the CEH. So I usually tell anybody who I'm on a coaching call with or that I'm mentoring that the CEH will get your foot in the door, but you have to have the hands-on and technical skills to get paid, right? So seeing the CEH on your resume will say, okay, they have the basic understanding, bring them in. And typically, if I'm interviewing you, I want you to bring me a write-up that you did on a Hack the Box machine or a Phone Hub machine, or a technical write-up that you did, a white paper, a Medium article, link me to your blog, something that shows me that you have the technical hands-on experience as well as the knowledge that you gain from the CEH. So just because you pass the CEH, you might not know how to really use Nmap. I need to be able to see that. So certifications do matter, but the hands-on is what's more important. Now, in some very rare cases, you have people who are not certified at all, but they have enough clout or they have enough experience that show them what they, that they know their stuff, right? So if you can show that you know your stuff and you have enough write-ups or you have enough experience, some people might overlook that, but a lot of these jobs now are requiring you to have the CEH. I'm sorry, I don't mean to curse, but some of these jobs are unrealistic and want you to have your CISSP for a pen testing job. It doesn't make any sense, but I guess it does if recently someone came out and said the CISSP is the same thing as a master's degree. Anybody who has their CISSP that says that, they're full of crap. I have my CISSP and I will never say it's the equivalent of a master's degree, but that's another day. That's for another day. Any advice or tools for blocking ransomware attacks? Yeah, don't click bad links. That's the tool. You can try to scan it with antivirus. You can try to scan it with different software or tools, but usually most ransomware attacks are successful because of phishing, right? So if you have a firewall and you have antivirus and you have all the top end tools that they tell you to have, right? And I send you an email that looks believable, it might be related to something that you've done recently, and I tell you, hey, click the link, and you click the link, 9 times out of 10, that's all it takes. So the only tool I would say is security awareness, right? So if you see an email that looks suspicious, well, first of all, trust but verify, right? My own mama can't send me an email without me checking to confirm it came from her. Sometimes I might call her and say, "Hey, did you send me this email?" Sometimes I hover over the email address and make sure that it's her actual email address. You know, but I don't click anything. Like that's it. Don't yeah, don't click bad links. That's it, right? Whether it's don't click suspicious emails or from unknown sources. So cybersecurity, you're absolutely right. However, if I can spoof an email to make it look like it came from somebody that you know, that's how people are getting tricked, right? So if I'm gonna present a hypothetical scenario, hypothetical scenario. Um, let's say someone did enough homework on a target and knew that they were a teacher at a specific high school. They loved cats. They were a Boston Red Sox fan and whatever. They just knew a whole bunch of information on this person. You then went to their social media page and saw that they're also very good friends with another teacher in the school. So now you spoof your email address to look like their best friend's email address. It might be off by a letter. But at first glance, we're all guilty of it. If you're not paying attention, you just look and say, "Oh, that's from such and such," because you see the first few letters and you're like, "Oh, I already know that email," or "Oh, I already know that phone number." And it was like, "OMG, look at this new calendar for cats." Okay, now you already have the trust because you think it was from your friend, and now it's about an interest that everyone knows you have, which is cats. So now you click the link, right? So that's the one thing I would say about ransomware. You can do a lot of things, but if you're prone to clicking suspicious links, then you're gonna fall victim. So let's see. Cash, thanks. How you doing? Thank you for joining. Ever created a network isolation design to isolate the parts of a network in a ransomware attack? Juan, I'm going to be honest with you. No, I have not. Any tips on this apart from understanding the impact of isolation? Nope, I've never created a network isolation design. I probably know who has or who can. If you guys check out Jay Bizzle, is it 703 on Twitter? Like he's my go-to guy for networking stuff. So but yeah, definitely check him out. He's definitely a friend and very knowledgeable. Let's see. Next question: can you hack a PHP database? Ladies and gentlemen, unplug it all. Yep. If you're not using it, turn it off. If you are using it, turn it off. But let's see. Hold on. I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen. Damn, missed that loss. Juan, don't worry, you didn't miss much. I said I don't have I don't know that. I'll actually give you his Twitter handle right now. All right, cool. Now, ladies and gentlemen, and there are several people who I respect and follow, and I learn from as much as I hope they learn from me in here. Um, so I think I speak for several of us when I say, ladies and gentlemen, do not go on someone's social media page, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever, and ask them to hack anything for you. I am not going to hack your girlfriend's or your boyfriend's social media page. I am not going to help you gain access to a page that you may have lost. I am not going to track somebody down for you. That's not what I'm doing. Not that you are lying. Not that I don't believe you all the time, because sometimes I just don't believe you at all. Not that you might have a legitimate issue and actually really need access to get into this database that you're asking me about right here on my tablet. We work a lot of hours and put in a lot of legwork to get to where we are. We are not going to risk our careers and our livelihood and honestly our freedom, right? Because you want to see who your girlfriend's talking to. I think I said this a couple weeks ago. If you need to hack into your girlfriend or your wife or your boyfriend or whatever, if you need to hack into their account to see what they're doing, you don't need to be with them. You don't need to check their phone. You don't need to know their password. You don't need to read their text messages. You don't need to see their emails. You don't need to turn on their location. You don't need to hack their cameras. You don't need to hack the microphone in their phone. All of these things people may know how to do, right? I mean, I know how to do it, but I'm not going to, especially to help you out. Hell, I'm a married man. My wife is happy. I'm happy. My kids are happy. I'm not ruining their livelihood because you said your girlfriend can't get into her account. Sorry. So, with that being said, we can get back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you and God bless. So if anybody is here to ask me a question about hacking into an account, you are more than welcome to stay and ask any other questions you have. But if that's what you were planning on asking me, thank you for joining and take care. Be safe and go find somebody else. Okay. I have no experience or skills in cybersecurity, but I want to be able to protect my family and make sure that the tech in my country is secure. What do you recommend? Okay, so that's a loaded question. So let's start with the second half. The technology in your country. I don't know what country you're in. Different countries have different laws and different big brothers, even though they're all pretty much the same in a sense. But that's for another conversation in another group. But so I would say you can worry about securing the technology that you can. You help my grandma get into her account? Hey Rod, thank you for joining and good night. No, but seriously, back to your question. The technology in your country, like I said, I don't know your country, so I can't speak on that. What you can do is make sure the technology at home, if you have the capabilities to do so, you can make sure that that's as secure and as locked down as possible. And then it's just a matter of speaking to your family about, internet usage, internet safety, internet awareness, right? So, for example, how many of us have cable routers or cable modems or whatever at home, or buy our own routers and modems at home for Wi-Fi connection? Make sure that you secure your Wi-Fi, right? So you want to make sure you change the default password so that your default password isn't like admin and password. or your default logins aren't on a list that I can find online, and I am not making this up. If you don't believe me, Google default Wi-Fi router passwords, and you'll find a list for most of the biggest manufacturers and what their default passwords are. And honestly, when you're hacking Wi-Fi, sometimes it's that easy because your password is literally password, or your password or your username is admin and your password is admin. So that's the first thing you want to do. You want to make sure you secure that password. You want to make sure you use a strong WPA2 encrypted password to get onto your Wi-Fi. You want to make sure that maybe you're using a blind SSID, so that no one can see what your see your network name being broadcasted when they're searching for Wi-Fi. So you want to make sure that all of these things are secure. Not only do you want to change your default password and your Wi-Fi password, you want to make sure like you turn on MAC filtering so that only the approved devices can get on. Maybe turn on your guest network so you're not just letting anybody just jump on your Wi-Fi like when you have visitors. These are all things that you can do to secure your stuff at home. Another thing you can do is you can make sure you use antivirus when you're going online. If you use a VPN, I know people have their own opinions about VPNs, especially with what's happened with NordVPN, but NordVPN is still a really good VPN service. Their transparency over the last issues they had in the last year has kind of been crappy, but a VPN service will still protect your data online. So you're not going to a Starbucks or you're going to a library or something like that and just connecting to anybody's old open Wi-Fi, because you're not sure if you're connecting to Starbucks or Barnes and Noble's Wi-Fi. You don't know if you're actually connecting to that or if you're connecting to someone who is sitting in the middle of that that Wi-Fi connection, and now they can see everything you're doing. You want to teach your family about, again, same thing with the ransomware. You want to make sure you're teaching them about not clicking bad links, about maybe confirming the email address is from who it says it's from. Maybe send them a call or shoot them a text and say, hey, did you send me this email saying such and such, and let them confirm before you do it. Like I said, practice the awareness. Oversharing. Don't overshare stuff on social media. I don't need to know what your dog ate for dinner while you ate this at the same time while you were watching this and you were sitting in this public place. Like I don't need to know all of that information, right? Neither does anybody else, because again, I'm not sure. I can't remember the gentleman's name on Twitter, but we do these things called OSINT challenges where they just put up a random picture that they found on the internet, and we and a bunch of people get on and try to figure out exactly where it is, and it's not that hard. So you want to just be mindful of that, right? So that's what you can do to keep your family secure. Like, I honestly, I'm gonna have to leave the stream. It's 24. All right. Hey, listen. Happy wife, happy life, Juan. Take it easy. I totally understand. But these are the things you can do to teach your family. Like, honestly, I teach my kids and my wife or my mom or whoever for that matter. I literally get down to like the ugly parts of it. Like, I'll literally sit there and I go to my kids and I'm like, listen, if I were to send you a message on this app, or if I were to send you this text message and say, hey, I am an 11-year-old boy, how could you tell me otherwise? How could you prove that I'm lying? Right? And the reason why I do that is because I want to explain to them the dangers of just trusting anybody they meet online. And unfortunately, you can try to do everything you can, but somehow these are still possibilities, right? So you got to prepare for the worst. So I would just definitely have a talk about being responsible online. I would definitely secure your devices at home. If you are someone who likes to use smart devices like a smart refrigerator or a smart oven or Alexa or anything like that, I would actually recommend probably getting a separate network and putting all your smart devices on a separate network. Why? Smart devices, because they're so popular and because the manufacturers are pushing these devices out, sometimes they're not patching them properly. So they might have outdated versions of the software running in the background, or they might push out something that they know is vulnerable, right? And they don't really check for 0 days, or even if there is a 0 day, they're very slow to patch the vulnerability because they don't want to have to slow down the production of their devices. So another scenario, and the reason why I say scenario is because there may or may not be NDAs attached, and I don't want to say names, but let's say you were hired to gain access to someone's home, and you may or may not have gained access through their web camera. And then from their web camera, you're able to then also scan other parts of the network and pivot to somewhere else. So this is why I say make sure all your tech, make sure your personal devices are either on a different VLAN or a different network than your smart devices. Keep them separate so that if someone gets into your fridge, okay, then they can jump back and forth between your fridge and your oven and whatever, and then you just have to whatever that way. That's one thing you could do to isolate it. Other thing is use, like I said, use strong passwords, MAC filtering, and all of that, and just make sure your Wi-Fi isn't open. All right, I think I spent enough time on that. Let's see. I want to learn cybersecurity. I did learn the basics. There's any good courses for advanced skills? So for advanced skills, I would definitely I would check out the Cyber Mentors course on Udemy. He gets really in depth. It depends on what you want to do for advanced. So if you're looking at like Active Directory stuff like that, he kind of glances over that. You also want to learn privilege escalation. He just came out with a course for Windows privilege escalation. Tiberius, he has a course on Linux privilege escalation as well as Windows, as well as a new Windows escalation, privilege escalation one he released. You want to start looking into more advanced courses, maybe like the OSCP or the ECPPT. I think I'm saying that right. Learning different exploits like buffer overflow attacks and stuff like that. And then it's just all hands on. You want to go on. All right, thanks for joining, Joy. Take care. You wanna get more hands on experience, so you're just comfortable behind the keyboard, because a lot of it sometimes is just kind of mental and adrenaline that's rushing, and you might have a mental block. So if you want to kind of get the advanced stuff, like I said, there's those courses, and there are a couple other courses. So there's the OSCP, there's the OSCE, there's gosh, I'm drawing a blank on them, but there are several courses, like I said, and you can get some courses on Udemy or Cybrary for advanced pen testing. Let's see. Next question. This isn't a question. I just wanted to say thank you. You helped me secure my Kali Linux box. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Actually, I'm just going to actually post my website and then I'm going to pin it. So if you check out my website, I actually just wrote an article on I just updated my article on the Udemy courses, and I also have an article on the books. So check out that website, and you can also check out the YouTube video. I have a YouTube video on the books as well. So check those out, and those will definitely point you in the right direction as far as the books and the courses you can take a look at. All right. Where do I work? I work. No, I'm playing. Like I said, I run my blog. I run alphacybersecurity.tech, and I run the YouTube channel. I run the Twitter page. I run the social media stuff. Where I work personally, that's my job. That's what I do, and that's none of your business because my employer does not have anything to do with alphacybersecurity.tech or my views. So I work for Alpha Cybersecurity. What do you think about the WAPT cert from e-learning security? I haven't looked at it, but I've heard most of the e-learn certifications are pretty good. And I trust the people who I've heard that from. I know there was I believe it was e-learning that had a little bit of a incident last year, but for the most part, they definitely have a solid course material and a solid course. So I would definitely check. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking into that. All right, I'm just checking Facebook real quick. Man, it looks like I'm probably gonna have to do another stream on Facebook, but I'm really kind of enjoying this right now. Where are we at? 5:53. Okay. Let's see. Got time for a few more questions. Dominican bid, no problem. Thank you for joining and thank you for your question. And tune in next time or next week or stay tuned. Don't, let's see. How did I get started? Hey, Butters, how you doing? How did I get started? It's a pretty, I guess it's a long story, so I'll give you the condensed version. I didn't go to college. I went into the military. I didn't do cybersecurity in the military. Actually, I didn't do anything tech related in the military. I actually was an aircraft mechanic. Got out, could not find a job, partially because they didn't have fighter jets in the civilian world, and I wasn't allowed to talk about some of the other stuff I was involved with because of my security clearance. Struggled to find a job. Definitely tried a bunch of different trades and stuff like that. Didn't work. Finally decided I always had an interest in tech, and the only thing that was really holding me back was me. Growing up, where we grew up, we weren't really exposed to it because that was always something like for rich folk. And we were always basically made to feel like we weren't smart enough to be in tech. So so eventually I decided I was going to give it a try. Still wasn't sure about doing the college route, so that's how I stumbled across um learning about certifications. And like I said, I started with from the bottom. Like I started with my A plus and then moved up to my network plus, then security plus, and then I jumped into the Microsoft certifications and all. And during the time I'm doing that, I'm also getting my hands-on experience in different places, anywhere I could. So I worked at Circuit City, if for those of you who remember what Circuit City was. And then when they went out of business, I worked for like a drug rehab center doing IT work, helping doing IT work for them. Then I went and had a job. I did a contract job at GE for like 6 months. and then I worked with another gentleman who really taught me a lot about tech for his own company. Um, After that, I worked in a school system, and that's where I really started to get into the cybersecurity side of things. And like I said, I just kind of worked my way up. So I think I did IT and tech support and sysadmin. I think I want to say for about 7 or 8 years before I jumped into my first pen testing role. Um, once I really knew I wanted to get into pen testing, I basically saved up a bunch of my money and drove down to Virginia and took a course who was taught a course that was taught by Keytron Evans. You guys can look him up. He actually has a couple YouTube videos on how to get started in cybersecurity that he just posted. But I learned from him the basics of pen testing, and then took my CEH, passed that. Then I got my certified penetration tester certification, which is like a hands-on one, and then it just kind of went from there. So, in a nutshell, that's pretty much how I got into cybersecurity, or how I got into this field. As far as the certifications I've gotten over that time, I've gotten, like I said, the A plus, the Network plus, the Security plus twice, because the first time it expired after 3 years. Then I got all the certifications for the MCSA for Windows Server, all the certifications for the MCSA and MCITP for Windows 7, CEH, CPT. I got a forensic certification. Trying to remember if there was any other ones in between that. And then eventually I got my CISSP, and that's where I'm at now. Thank you for sharing this information. No problem, man. I'm trying to help those who I can and kind of get into this field. Any advice for cybersecurity analysts? Or I'm sorry, before I jump over your question, are there any good books, or was that discussed already? It was discussed, but I do have an article if you're interested for pen testing. It's literally called 10 books to start your pen testing journey. I will put the link in the comments. If you see me slowing down a little bit, it's just because I still feel a little. I've been. It's been a rough week. I have not been feeling well all week, and then, like I said, yesterday and today have just been really bad. But let's see. Any advice for a cybersecurity analyst? I would just make sure you understand the concepts. I would make sure you understand, you know, what's being asked of you, if it's whether it's career wise or certification wise. Just to kind of circle back to the question that we had earlier about cert stacking. Like I said, make sure you understand what the tools and techniques are doing. Make sure you understand what's happening and why it's happening, or why this tool or why this method is necessary at this point. That would be my advice. And also never stop learning. Actually, that just kind of goes in general. Okay, well, baby is up, have to go. Thanks for sharing. No problem. No problem. Let's see. Yeah, so that's the only thing I would say is just kind of know what's going on for both certification and career development. Same thing. Understand what's going on. Understand. Always keep up on it, because technology is always changing, and the techniques to secure them, the foundation is the same, but the methodology might be a little bit different, especially with things moving to the cloud and IoT and stuff like that. I would definitely pay attention to that. And again, never get complacent. This field will eat you alive if you sit still. So I would definitely just kind of stay up on top of it. Like if you don't enjoy reading, or you don't enjoy, you know, looking at articles or doing a few hours of research a week, it's going to catch up to you. And it's kind of like what I said before about people who have the certifications but don't have the technical knowledge. Eventually you get exposed. Eventually it'll catch up to you. So, oh no, let's see. Hold on one second. It looks like my Instagram. It looks like the Instagram live just went. So that might be my cue. Hold on. All right. So while that uploads, I guess. All right. So very good advice. Thank you. Great advice. I appreciate it. Thank you. I definitely hope it helps. All right, so it is now 6 o'clock. I think I've been going now for about an hour. So I'm going to wrap this up. If there are any last minute questions that anybody has for me, if not, I will say please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, hit the bell for notifications, all that stuff that the kids say. I'm old, right? Follow me on Twitter, djax_alpha. Same thing on Instagram, djax_alpha. Um, and keep the questions coming. Like I said, you can send me messages in the inbox. I can definitely help out any way I can. Be on the lookout. Like I said, there will be some coaching sessions coming up very soon as we kind of get back to whatever normal is going to be. But in the meantime, I'm just going to say, like I said, if this is what you want to do or whatever it is you want to do, just keep at it. I know it's a little difficult during these times to kind of stay motivated. But a couple weeks ago, I think I talked about finding your why. So tap into that and remember why you got started, whether it was cybersecurity or whatever it is you're doing. Remember why you want to do it. Remember why you're passionate about it, and just kind of stick to it. This too shall pass. So, with that being said, still make sure you practice social distancing, cough in your sleeve, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, wear a mask. Whether you feel like you can get sick or not, someone else might be weaker than you or have a weaker immune system. So be mindful of them, be mindful of the elderly, be mindful of the children, be mindful of the sick. Like, I don't want to get on my soapbox right now, but everybody is not the same. So, just stay safe out there. Like I said, I've lost several people, or I know people who've also lost several people, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like things are going to get a lot better before they get worse first. So, stay safe and do what you got to do. And like I said, whatever project you're working on, make sure you're working at it. So whenever we do go back to normal, we come out stronger. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everything that you guys have shown with your love and support. Like I said, I will hopefully get better. But stay tuned, or not stay tuned. Tune in next week. Hopefully, I'll be back to my regular schedule. And like I said, just stay, I'll keep you guys informed on social media. So you guys take care. Have a good night, and see you next time.